please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
That already happens. They've been grandfathered in, so we'll see what kind of impact that has. But deregulation definitely happening.
Mine is a little less serious. It's my dream, actually, but it was accomplished by
very serious.
A random Scotland woman. Check this out. She's flying from, I think, Edinburgh or Glasgow, basically the only two cities in Scotland.
Oh, I know where
to
she's
Crete.
flying. I know.
Oh, I knew you knew. Okay, look at that. Nobody else on the plane.
That's amazing.
She was the only one on the flight, and they still took off. Did the whole flight to herself.
Laugh of luxury.
Love it.
Thanks for watching Power.
Closing bell starts right now.
The clock is ticking, and we have reached the most crucial hour of the trading session.
Hello and welcome to Closing Bell. I'm Sonia Shenoy.
Everything could change in an instant.
You could argue that it's buy on dips, you could argue that it's sell on rally. A smart trader would say it's both.
Tune in to find out what could make or break your trades.
It's been a very good comeback.
I think it will do so.
What about the uncertainty related to tax reform? Is that something that you're looking at when modeling different investment opportunities right now?
Yeah, I actually think tax reform has a much better chance of passing than the healthcare package did. And I think that what's interesting for value investing is companies we own in our portfolio, they tend to be profitable, and so they tend to pay taxes. And so lower corporate tax rates should really benefit them. And a lot of the companies we're short, they don't really make any money, and so it's hard to see why tax reform will help them so much. So we're kind of hoping tax reform will pass, and we expect that would actually be positive.
David Einhorn, founder of Greenlight Capital, thank you so much for joining us. Hope you come back soon.
Thanks so much. Hi, Leslie.
Good job. Thank you.
There was a lot, guys. There was a lot to pick apart there. Absolutely. I thought it was really interesting what he was talking about with this current market being similar to the 90s and early 2000s, and obviously he's got a position that would protect him in the event that we see.
And value investing is coming back, and this active passive thing is cyclical.
Exactly.
The whole definition of a value investor, you have to be patient, and that's what he's having to be right now, that's for sure. Thanks, Leslie.
Thanks, guys.
Let's get to our closing bell exchange for this Wednesday with the markets trading lower today. Mark Travis is with us from Intrepid Capital Funds. Jonathan Corpina from Meridian Equity Partners has been waiting patiently with us here at Post 9. We got Rick Santelli checking in from the CME in Chicago. Mark, let me start with you. I mean, what do you think of what David was saying here? You know, the market comes and goes in cycles. You're telling people that, you know, you're a little concerned you should be concentrating more on risk than on returns right now. What do you think of what David Einhorn said?
Bill, I couldn't agree with him more. I think, you know, indexation is just momentum investing, or as I say, value agnostic. And just like gravity, at some point, the free cash flows of business will, the value will be unearthed. It's just a question of patience. And so in these periods of low volatility like we've seen, money drives towards what's moving. And, you know, you take a company like Tesla, it's going to burn $1.5 billion this year and about $500 million next year. And, you know, as long as the financing window is open, that's all neat and good. But when it closes, things can change in a hurry. So, you know, I like businesses that generate a lot of free cash flow that have, insider ownership of significance, and where we can do a discounted free cash flow or an asset valuation and get a higher price.
Jonathan, on the overall market, I mean, Einhorn stopped short of saying any kind of big prediction. He said he doesn't like to make big predictions on which way the market is headed, but he did say that the stock market seems to be pricing in a lot of optimism, and he is positioned well if there were change. And he'd like to see this change where value investing comes back in. What causes such a paradigm shift in the market? Is it going to be higher rates?
You know, there's a combination of things that we're constantly looking at here, whether it's higher rates or it's tax reform. Clearly, those are going to have an effect on the market. And I thought he was spot on a couple of really good points there. Value wins out. One of the themes that he was saying. When investors, whether you're large or small, and looking at companies, you always have to look at where is the value in this company. And he also said one of the points that he made was when looking at a company, where are your profits, right? You could be disruptive within your industry to your competitors, but at the end of the day, you need to have your profits.
That's not what's working right now. It's still all about growth.
It is.
All of these tech names, including one that he is shorting like Amazon. I mean, the current market view is they are disrupting other people's businesses, and therefore they're valuable.
Right, and it's all cyclical, and all comes around at some point where everyone takes a step away from looking at the markets trading at all-time highs and really have to start evaluating and look at the fundamentals of some of these companies.
Meanwhile, Rick, the march higher on the Treasury yield curve continues. We're at 244 in the 10-year right now. You know, there's a sense, I mean, we keep getting dribs and drabs about the president's thinking on the next Fed chair. Then there's a feeling before he heads to Asia next week that we might get a decision this week. What are you guys talking about there?
You know, we're mostly talking about central bank meetings, specifically tomorrow's ECB meeting. You know, many traders try to get their positions under some control, and especially in front of Mario Draghi tomorrow. This could be a seminal moment with regard to central banking, and it fits with David Einhorn's whole synopsis. You know, disrupting is a big deal, okay? Whether it's central banks or Amazon or Netflix. But the result is that when the disruption's done, a new normal arises. And I think we're at that place with regard to central banks. So, for example, if Mario Draghi was extremely dovish tomorrow, even if the most hawkish pick of the president on his replacement for Janet Yellen is front-page news, that will get lost in a dovish Mario Draghi. My point is that the market is very vulnerable on these days, especially today and yesterday in front of that meeting. So I think that's where all eyes are focused, and the best way to understand exactly what Mario Draghi means to the market, just watch that dollar index. After his press conference begins, on which side of 94 the dollar index is will give you all you need to know.
Something that Sarah's been telling me all day today, as a matter of fact. Gentlemen, we have to go at this point. Thank you. Thank you for your patience. Mark Travis, John Corpino, I'll let you get back to trading.
Thank you.
And Rick Santelli joining us for the exchange. We have some news on that search for the next Fed chair. Eamon Javers, what's the latest?
Yeah, hi, Bill. There have been a number of reports within the past hour that say that Gary Cohn is, in fact, out as a candidate for Fed chair. I can tell you that I just spoke with a senior administration official here in the West Wing who said no, in fact, Gary Cohn is still in. Nobody has been ruled out, this senior administration official says. And, in fact, the list of 5 candidates that the White House has been talking about still stands. That said, this senior administration official said that Gary Cohn is critical to the effort on tax reform, and he may be so critical to that role that it might not be prudent to announce a change right now. That, according to a senior administration official, in terms of Gary Cohn and whether or not he would get that job. A couple of other points that the official made. The president has not made a decision yet on who he wants as Fed chair. The president would like to announce that this decision before he leaves for a trip to Asia on November 3rd, but there's no guarantee that the president will necessarily make that announcement before November 3rd. There's been a lot of expectation that we're definitely getting it before then. This official is saying that the president could wait till he returns from Asia, saying the president is thinking intently about that. He knows the value, the importance of this job in terms of global markets and the U.S. stock market, which is something that the president talks about very frequently. And also, the president has not called anybody back for second interviews yet, any of the 5 candidates, but that's something that they won't rule out here at the White House as the president continues to think about this job. So they're saying here that Gary Cohn has not been ruled out, but also saying that he's so crucial to the tax reform effort that it might not be prudent to make a change in his job position right now and announce anything in terms of Fed chair now.
Yeah, make of that what you will. Eamon,
Exactly.
Is the president listening to fellow Republicans on this one? Because some of them have very strong views on this matter.
I think he is. You know, we talked a little bit about the president doing this straw poll yesterday when he was up in the Senate meeting with Senate Republicans. He asked for a show of hands on who they preferred for Fed chair. I talked to another senior administration official here this morning who said that the president does take that into account. He's saying that he considers that to be one data point, but he's looking at a lot of different data points. And one of the questions for the president is, does he want to keep Janet Yellen? It has been assumed by a lot of people that he would want to get rid of Janet Yellen as an Obama appointee. The president has been pushing out most of the people who are affiliated with Obama, most of the regulations and things that Obama did. So you would assume that the president would want his own person in there. But he's been saying kind things about Janet Yellen recently, including today. So is he maybe thinking that the stock market's doing pretty well overall? He's been talking about that a lot, and Janet Yellen's played a key role in that. Maybe he wants to keep her. So a lot of factors here.
Or
It's
maybe
a moving
he thinks
target.
he's doing that all by himself.
Well, the president's certainly not shy about taking credit for the stock market movement this year. But look, I mean, there's a lot of factors in play, and the White House says the president's thinking about all of this, and he hasn't made a final decision yet.
All right, Eamon, thank you very much. See you later. Eamon Javers there at the White House. As you know, it's been a rough week for GE. That stock down 10% in just the last 3 trading days following last week's huge earnings miss. We're going to break down the move and new comments from CEO John Flannery just ahead.
What has been the experience so far? If I were to ask you about the 1-month report card of the GST rollout.
Well, the first week or so was a bit lukewarm. As time went by, I think we're now slowly starting to pick up and business is getting back to normal.
All the indicators are okay, nothing alarming. But you know, it's an incredibly complex system.
We need to really see how will GST function when people start uploading their statements.
Distributors are demanding that GST should provide a higher margin for them. Everybody is clear about passing on the benefits.
Vanja Sarna, the CBEC chief, very categorically she has clarified rate revision is something that the government is not looking at right now unless there is a justified case. That enforcement is definitely not there, but yes, government is keeping a close watch on any such issue which will trouble consumers.
Exclusively on CNBC TV 18, follow the leader. The clock is ticking, and we have reached the most crucial hour of the trading session.
Hello and welcome to Closing Bell. I'm Sonia Shenoy.
Everything could change in an instant.
You could argue that it's buy on dips. You could argue that it's sell on rally. A smart trader would say it's both.
Tune in to find out what could make or break your trades.
It's been a very good comeback for the markets.
This is a market which should rally more, maybe go to all-time highs.
As our experts analyze the market from every angle to give you the inside story.
Arvind remains a short sell even in this market.
Several individual stocks are breaking out. So Bata is a buy and Aurobindo Pharma is a buy.
Keep taking each day as an independent day and trade accordingly.
NSE Closing Bell.